Hi guys, Rik Marston, SynthgodXXX. Welcome to my channel. I want to personally thank you so much for checking in on this video. This is volume 2 of Use Synthesizers to Avoid. And I want to thank you guys personally for, literally you, that person right there who's watching this video right now. I want to thank you for signing in and taking the time to comment on the videos before. I really appreciate your communication, your time, your effort, your energy, your input, and anything else that you guys have that you want to chime in to help other synthesizer players and keyboardists around the world. Because this is a very, very important thing, is to share this knowledge with everyone to save them from the heartbreak and destruction. Because there's a lot of that going on. So, in making the first video, I was totally reminded of so many other keyboards and modules and things that I had issues with in the past, or something that has come up after making a secondhand purchase. So I'm so glad you guys have given me the opportunity and the enthusiasm to continue on with this and to keep sharing my experience and my knowledge with you. Alright, what I really want to bring up that I totally forgot about on the last little video was the Kurzweil K2000. That is one wonderful workstation, and Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails was one of the ones that was turned on to that, that got me turned on to that. And when I heard all about the stuff that Trent was talking about with the Kurzweil K2000, I personally got involved with it. So I started buying secondhand Kurzweil K2000 V3s and VXs. I think that was the best one, was the K2VX. It was a wonderful version with extra sample memory, everything. Anyways, the problems with those have been, sometimes there's motherboard issues. I've also had some issues with output, sound output, and of course the number one problem with the Kurzweil K2000 secondhand are the batteries. They've got the batteries that you replace, the PRAM batteries, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments there. But it's supposed to be for user memory or backup memory. And of course you change the battery and it still does nothing. Every time you power on the workstation, it comes up with the battery low. I was like, I just changed it out. And they happen to use 9-volt batteries. Last time I saw the earliest versions of the K2000 used to have like 9-volt batteries for battery backup memory. So that was kind of funky, you know what I'm trying to say. So that was one thing. Their sound is still wonderful. Even the old school Kurzweils, they're worth it. So still, if you find them for $300, they're great. But remember, you're going to always have that issue. I don't know how to correct it. I've gone online many a times looking up the problems, and there was still no serious solution to the consistent low battery message. So that's another thing. Another one to worry about in the secondhand market, and not many people are jumping for this, but some people will come across it in a pawn shop or in some sort of Craigslist deal. The Alesis Quadrasynth, the large one. I'm not talking about the QS series or the QS ones or any of those type. I'm talking about the original Quadrasynth. They're very big and bulky. And I used to work at Guitar Center, like many musicians who probably watch this probably worked at a music store. Like I've worked at music stores and I've worked at Guitar Center. So we used to always had gear come in, and some of those things I have experienced as stuff that's just sat out there for a long time and then just died. So the Quadrasynth was one of those ones that was just one of those, it output wise completely would fry. I've heard many times that the output boards died quickly, and that there was issues with the motherboard just dying completely, like frying. It turns on and then all of a sudden it shuts off and does not come back on again. That could be a power thing, yes, but it wasn't the power, because it was the motherboard's connection to the power that fried on the motherboard itself. It wasn't that. So anyways, that's that. The next type of synthesizer that we kind of worry about right now in the second-hand market is the Roland Phantom XR, the rack module. And this is the Phantom X series keyboard, basically put into the module, and has sample playback and editing features, sampling tools. So you'll be able to do some really wonderful stuff. And of course, I love the Phantom engine. I love every Roland engine ever made. But that's just me, because I'm a Roland fanboy too. Woo! Anyways, there are issues with the LCD screen and the motherboards just dying. So that's one of the things that's been happening lately. I've also had reports of the expansion boards failing. Like you have a few slots in there, more than a few slots, like 6 SRX expansion boards. Those things die, you really can't use those expansions, and you only have the internal memory to work with. But remember, those things are still loaded with wonderful sounds. So you'll see a lot of those frying on the second-hand market, and that really sucks, because that is a very powerful rack module to have. God bless it. I wish it was better. Another Roland piece of kit to worry about nowadays in the secondhand market is the Roland MC505 Groove Box. We talked about the 909 in the last, and this kind of pertains to the MC303 Groove Box. A lot of secondhand MC303 Groove Boxes I've purchased in pawn shops for super cheap, because if you don't have the correct power supply, they don't power on, and if you don't have something comparable, like know what you're looking to do, they won't power on, and you can be like, yeah man, I'll take it out of your hands for like 20 bucks. Those are years ago. I'm not even like that anymore, but that was just one of the ways that a lot of people get secondhand MC303s. So just look out for that. Make sure that if somebody's trying to sell you one, try to make sure the power is correct on it, and you will get yourself a pretty cool one. They've been pretty reliable, the MC303 Groove Boxes. And they are also underrated in my opinion. Some people say that, oh, the sound and everything like that is just dated. Well, cool. I like dated times 80s, 90s, 2000s sounding stuff, because I can do stuff to make it sound me. So it doesn't matter about dated. Anyways, so the MC505 Groove Boxes have issues with the LCD screens. It's one of the most notorious things about the MC505. Of course, the pads, the little chiclets at the bottom, could be issues. A couple of knobs can be ghosting. That's another thing, ghosting with the knobs on the MC505. But the number one big thing you'll find on for you secondhand MC505 Groove Boxes are the LCDs dying out. Something to worry about, and to get replaced. Here's one that is a shocker to a lot of people who don't even know about this. And this is a major company. The Clavia Nordlead 3. The Nordlead 3 is supposed to have overheating issues. I've heard from a rock star friend of mine who was on tour using the Nordlead 3 for many tours. And on the last tour he had two Nordlead 3s die. One, this was years ago, mind you. Maybe 5 years after the Nordlead was introduced and was starting to hit the second-hand market in a large number, and the prices were still really high at the time for that. And they're still wonderful synths. So if there's somebody who knows how to control the power regulation or whatever within the board, it gets super hot that it could cause electrical fire. That's the scariest thing. Can you imagine playing a live show and your keyboard just all of a sudden goes it sparks? It catches on fire. Oh, great light show, guys. Yeah, this is great. My door's on fire. Run. Not saying all Nord 3s are going to do this. This is just something that has been experienced with a person who's consistently touring with the Nord 3. If you've had a Nord 3 have an overheating issue or heating issues, let me know, because from what I heard that the heating gets so hot that it could fry the motherboard itself. I don't know if it's a power thing or not. If you guys know, please put the stuff in the comments below. That would be very, very helpful for people. Another synth on the vintage market and secondhand market that I love is the Ensoniq ESQ1. That's a wonderful, wonderful secondhand keyboard to have in the vintage market. I absolutely love the sound. When you're looking at the 80s and late 80s, when the digital stuff started to really come in, you had the DX7, the JX series from Roland, and the ESQ1 were just completely dominating the analog digital market. And I absolutely love the sound of the ESQ1. One day we'll get a good working one in hand. We will have videos of it. Okay. Oh, what's going on with this, Rick? I know we have a missing keyboard. Well, I did sell the DeepMind 6. I know, don't shoot me, because I'm still planning on getting my DeepMind 12 back in the studio, because I really need the extra polyphony for my MIDI File Friday. But I have a special vintage synthesizer that will be here at the end of the week, and I will be showing you guys and doing videos on it. So, shh. Musicians. Okay, anyways, what's next on my list? Oh my god, this is something, if you were looking for a vintage rack, and we're talking about EMU, which is friends and family of the Ensoniq Empire. One type of rack I would definitely look out for is the Proteus 1, 2, and 3. The Proteus 1, power, short, boom, die. Proteus 2, same, but I've heard about LCDs, which is, I think, is the orchestral one. And the number 3 is the world one, which is really sought out after. Everybody wants that one because some really wonderful stuff. I heard those are actually still stable and reliable, but of course the LCDs need to be replaced on that. And I have to say also, before I get out of the EMU thing, one of the most notorious things for the Proteus lines, or any of those, like the MoFats or the Orbits, or any of the racks, the old racks, are LCD screens dying. those have been reliable to me. Some people might say that there's issues with outputs. I've never had like an output board die on me in a Proteus unit or anything EMU. Everything that I've played with, the Oddity, the Proteus 2000, even the keyboard versions have always been very stable and reliable, and they sound very, very, very Hollywood cinematic, LA, old school LA stuff. That's where I'm from, Los Angeles, California, North Hollywood to be exact. And I'll be honest with you, all of the producers at the time were using EMU stuff, along with some Roland stuff in Hollywood. We were just pushing a lot of that stuff, and they'd always have like an Oberheim Matrix, and those were always reliable. But nowadays, if you're looking for like a used Proteus 1, 2, or 3, I would look out for their power things, ask questions about the power supplies and transformers. Do they hum? Stuff like that. Okay, another thing I would definitely check out is the Roland D50. That is a wonderful, 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 wonderful synth. They have LCD screen issues, sometimes output issues. Like, oh, it's not making any sound, but everything else is functioning. So that's something to think about for the Roland D50, because that is a wonderful synth, period. A second-hand keyboard from Korg, I would be very careful about. The Korg X50. It's a light version of the Triton series and has no sequencer. It does have a very, very comparable arpeggiator in it. Sometimes their output boards do die. When I was working at Guitar Center at one point, I remember trying to demo one, and it literally just died on me while I was trying to demo. X50 was a synth that was very, very easy to sell and easy to carry and easy to use, and had the Triton engine, and unfortunately the output board died on it in the store, and it was every single one that we got into our store. It did that. 6 of them. 6 X50s lost their output boards. Every time we rip it open, put it on the floor, not very long after, we had no sound from it. So look out for those in the second-hand world, okay? Here's a vintage one I love. Nick Rhodes of Duran Duran. I keep talking about you, sir. I love you. I'm probably one of your biggest fanboys. Look, I got the blonde hair, the eyeliner. You're like my idol. You and like 15 other people. The Krumar Performer is a wonderful, wonderful analog string synth in brass, and it's just a phenomenal synth. I absolutely love it. The one that I had, I'm sorry I didn't do a video on, I should have. It was wonderful, but it was in kind of icky condition. Almost every single performer that I run across, there was an issue with the brass section. So it was either wasn't playing or it had a very low volume to it. So that was a drag, because that was like some of the beef of the analog tone that you would be pushing. The string synths sound wonderful. They were dreamy. They were completely off of the first Duran Duran album, Careless Memories, Sound of Thunder. I can go down the list of all the beautiful sounds that thing could make. And I was playing Girls on Film. I was playing those. It was authentic. Oh my God, Nick, I love you, dude. You're the bomb. You're the bomb. God bless you. May your energies be strong and renewed. But the Krumar Performer, the brass section would die, and you'd always find their little slider tips broken off. So you'd be pushing their little, they're not like an on-the-fly type of synth to play. You basically set your stuff and you perform with it, but it's just a wonderful synth to be able to shape with the brass section if you had the brass section working. So highly recommend a Performer, Krumar Performer, if you can get one in working refurbished condition. And that's very hard to find. My God, if you can get one, I'd be happy. The Alesis Micron, I love them. My wife played keyboards and that in our band, and she used the Alesis Micron as one of the lead top synths. She loved it. It was great, wonderful. Nowadays, the LCD screens are dying out. Out of maybe a left or a right output, maybe needs to be resoldered in. Not sure, but I mean that would be kind of it for the Alesis Microns. Some say that there is problems with the key pressure sensitivity and aftertouch stuff. If that, I don't, yeah, sure. But to be honest with you, the LCD screens, and they have replacements for those on eBay. You can find those. So those are budget cheaps, virtual analog. You know, they're cheap, and if you get them with good working screens, I do recommend it. So those are really fun synths to have. And their bigger brother or sister is the Ion, which is awesome. That was one of the top-rated virtual analog synths that was able to really, at the time of construction, that really, really hit the mark. And even Keyboard Magazine raved about how awesomely analog that thing sounded. And it didn't sound like an Axis virus. It wasn't trying to sound like an Axis virus. And that's why the Ion was just totally awesome. It looked odd, yet it was phenomenal. And the 3 wheels. Oh, that's a synth. A lower budget synth on the market to look out for now. The Roland XP10 was one of the earliest lines in the series of the XP. I talked about the 50, 60, and the 80. But the XP10, I haven't heard nothing about the XP30s. I never had any issue with an XP30. Those are still wonderful. XP series with the 2 more expansion slots, wonderful. Had 3 expansions, a techno, it had the session and orchestral, so you can, oh my god, yeah, so XP30, that's awesome. But the XP10 nowadays, if you do find them on the second-hand market, you might find them already with their LCD displays replaced. If not, you'll find them with dim or missing characters. But, you know, for a general MIDI type of keyboard, right? To play like your brass sounds and whatnot, but not your analog modeling synth, okay? Let's see what we got here. The Moog Prodigy, that is a wonderful analog synth with so much power and bite. Howard Jones used the heck out of it, so many other musicians did. Wonderful lead synth, wonderful power synth. Like the Grandmother, it's got more balls, I think. But I mean, well, the Prodigy, but the Grandmother definitely is up there in my opinion of power synth. But the Prodigy, you know, has some power issues. I mean, anything can fall apart nowadays. That is such an older synth now that expect to be consistently paying for something to be updated. I would send it to one of the top of the line repair folks who do analog stuff. So if you have a Moog Prodigy and it needs to be serviced, there are going to be a lot of people who can do those things, but try to do a full-scale overhaul on the actual synth itself, because if one thing goes, another thing will have to compensate, and that will go, and then it could be a problem or a consistent thing. So, you know. The Novation K-Station, I have one. It was beaten up and on tour and beaten up by Ludovico Technique, wonderful gothic industrial band. If you haven't heard of them, really, really cool. I got that from them. I've had many other K-Stations in great condition. Some of the problems with the K-Station series are ghosting with the sliders and knobs. Keys have been known to have issues with the pads themselves and the LCD. Other than that, I mean, come on, it's a second-hand synth. It was one of the first of a line of the really cool modern VA synths that were coming out at the time, with the Axis Virus and the Nords that were starting to come out, and the JP 8000 rolled out, and the Z1 was just there, and then all of a sudden the K-Station line and the KS4, 5 came out. Oh my god, man, Novation was on fire, the Supernova at that time too. That was a great time. Okay, here's one more. I'm going to leave it at this. The Triton LE. Let me see, the classic, I could say too, because we were talking about the classic issues. One of the problems I didn't bring up about these synths, the start-stop buttons. You're going to find so many of the Triton Classic and the Triton LE secondhand. The button for the start-stop is pushed in or angled out, broken. You're going to be like, oh, I can fix it, I still work it, and then one day you won't be able to work it. It's like, okay. So somebody was really just, who's really that hard on your buttons? I mean, that you're going to bust a start-stop button. Start? Really? That's going to change it's starting? No, it's not. It's ridiculous. So my whole thing is, be nice to your gear. Don't beat up on your gear. It's not going to speed it up how hard you push on it, or if you take your MC909 and go, rah, 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 like I saw once, I could not believe. You know, you don't get mad on your gear. You don't get mad. Don't get mad at your gear. It's 99% of the time user error, but sometimes it is a quirk, a defect, an OS bug, or something not completed with the operation system. So think about it. Don't kill your gear. You know, what if it is something that can be repaired, that is just an operation system change or a fix, or something that your warranty could cover if it is something warranted that you just bought new? Most likely, if it's a second-hand piece like what we're discussing right now, you're not going to get any help other than finding people who are, you know, comparable repair people who can take care of your vintage or almost vintage gear. Because remember, everything's catching up to being vintage now that we're close to 2020. So hopefully all of these 15 could help you, and some of the others in between I threw in. I love you guys very, very much. Please support the SynthgodXXX channel by purchasing the reverb collections that I've made. I have 16 different sample collections of various synthesizers. Of course, there's a lot of different collections on the Reverb site that they've been promoting, but if you see the pictures in my ads, they show you which ones I've made. They're official Onyxian Sound Design. That's my sound design company. So please help support this channel by buying those awesome, affordable, under $20 sample collections, over 2 gigs each, stereo. Almost every single one of the collections are in full stereo. The first 3 collections have mono and stereo, which are the Moog, Roland, and Dave Smith collections. Those all have various synthesizers. Then after that, I've got specific synthesizers. So if you need sample collections for your Prophet X or your Deluge or your Kronos, I have got a wonderful collection of all of these wonderful synths that you see on my channel available to you to use in your tracks. And they're wonderful, thick, 20-second long samples each. I'm not talking those snippety-dippet types. There's no samples like that for me. They're all anyways, check out my little collections down below in on my channel. Please support the site by supporting yourself by getting really kick-ass samples for your next track and for for the future. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And if you haven't done that, please do that. I appreciate it. Again, my name is Rik Marston, SynthgodXXX. I appreciate it. May your energies be strong.